breaking some tough news ahead of the summer holidays.
These are difficult decisions for government. They're tough decisions. We acknowledge that, and it will impact everyone.
After consultation and deliberation, the government confirming strict new demersal fishing bans would take effect for popular species like jewfish and pink snapper. Among them, a permanent commercial ban along WA's West Coast fishery from January, and a partial boat-based recreational ban until spring 2027. A 50% commercial catch reduction along the Pilbara, Kimberley and South Coast fisheries, and a permanent trawling ban in the Pilbara.
I have no doubt I'm going to be unpopular with a lot of fishers. People love fishing. I'm acutely aware that people will have already made their summer plans expecting to be able to go out and catch jewfish.
Green groups supportive.
This is going to ensure that our kids can fish for jewfish in the years to come, the decades to come, if we do the tough work now.
But the government copped a battering from disgruntled fishers and the opposition.
Hold up. And stop the ban.
Stop the ban!
Both voicing concerns about fish stock data and the management of fisheries.
It's just not fair. What's taken place from this state government is just not fair.
People have lost their livelihoods in a matter of 3 weeks, so people haven't really had the time to respond. I mean, the job market's not easy.
Fish prices have already gone up, imports are here, and that is something that we said on the very first day of this announcement, where would West Australians get their seafood from?
Pressure mounting on the government to defend its decision. The minister tasked with the job insisting she can do just that. Fisheries Minister Jackie Jarvis, welcome to Stateline.
Thank you.
What will these bans do for the price of fish?
So with regard to the commercial sector, we're buying out 41 boats who operate in a 900 kilometre zone in what's called the West Coast bioregion. It's really important to remember that commercial fishing continues across the rest of the state. And so there will be some impact on supply, absolutely. The reality is West Australians love buying fresh seafood, but not at any cost. And so we have fish species like the jewfish, which are, down to 7% biomass in some areas. And so we need to make sure that we protect these fish for the future.
One Albany fish and chip shop has said it's had to raise its prices by 30% and customers are walking away. What do you make of that?
Look, I'm surprised that that's coming out of Albany. The South Coast is our biggest shark fishery, and when we talk about fish and chip shops, we're quite often talking about shark, or flake as it's known. Last year alone, those fishers in the South Coast zone caught over 500,000 kilos of shark. That South Coast fishery continues. There will be a reduction, but even from that South Coast area, 250,000 kilos of shark is a lot of fish and chips.
Were you surprised by the amount of backlash the government has received?
I expected a lot of backlash. This was a really hard decision. I mean, some people describe this as the biggest reset in fisheries history in Western Australia. So I knew there'd be backlash and I knew there'd be obviously concern. The fishing package, the buyout that we've put together for the commercial sector is generous. Most of those 41 boats also have licences to continue fishing in other zones. It was a difficult decision. I guess I knew there'd be backlash. Perhaps the personal nature of it took me a little bit by surprise, but that goes with the job.
Did you specifically receive advice from Deep Herd that a permanent commercial ban was necessary in the West Coast fishery?
The advice I received, and I've said this publicly before, that the most appropriate course of action was a 10-year closure of the West Coast bioregion for everyone. What became clear is you cannot ask commercial fishers to actually suspend their business for 10 years. So by permanently closing that commercial fishery, it triggered a legislative process where I can get the funds to pay them out in a compulsory buyout.
So you didn't receive specific advice about a permanent closure to commercial fishers?
The advice was a 10-year closure to everyone, which would have meant a closure to commercial fishers. Now, what that looks like and the mechanism, I could have simply suspended fishing operations for 10 years with no financial recompense to commercial fishers. I made the decision to actually commence a compulsory buyout to make sure those fishers received compensation.
Shouldn't they have been given a choice?
The Fisheries Minister has to make the judgment call, and these fishers know that the Minister of the day makes a decision about allocation on the 1st of January. That's the way the system works.
So was this essentially a captain's call?
Well, that's the job of the Minister for Fisheries. It's my decision. The Minister for Fisheries makes the call. I accept all the science, I consult and I make the decision. So I've received criticism from the opposition for making what they're calling a captain's call. That's my job. That's my job as the Minister for Fisheries, is to make tough decisions. You know, I know I wouldn't wish this decision making on anyone, but it goes with the job. It's about preserving fish for the future, and it's about making sure that we don't send things like jewfish into extinction.
In hindsight, do you wish you intervened earlier?
I couldn't intervene until I actually had the latest data. That came to me in August, and I met with the commercial sector within a week of receiving a briefing from the agency as to the dire situation.
Will you walk back any elements of these bans if stocks recover?
So look, if stocks recover into the future, there is a mechanism to set up what's called a new fishery. So a future minister in 10 years' time may well decide that there is an opportunity to open a new commercial fishery for demersal species. That's a decision for a future minister. The reason I did the complete closure at this stage is so that I can ensure that we can do that compulsory buyout and have those funds available for those fishing businesses. New fisheries open all the time. There is a process where the science changes or we have new biomass surveys, but that's something for a future Fisheries Minister.
Fisheries Minister Jackie Jarvis, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.